Damn. And look, we've been following this league for years, but it never ceases to amaze us. Damian Lillard signs with Milwaukee Bucks to join the Greek Beast and his minions. A few months ago, I commented in a video that I recommended a change of scenery, and apparently he listened to me. Anyway, old times. Let's get down to business today. Let's analyze in detail the Lillard's trade to Milwaukee Bucks. A trade that has resulted in Damian Lillard to Milwaukee, Jrue Holiday from Deandre Camara, a 2029 first-rounder and a couple of swaps for Portland, who are definitely betting on a complete rebuild going forward, and Nurkic+Grayson, Allen+Nassir Little, and Keon Johnson to Phoenix. How little is being talked about. But this has not stopped here. On top of that, we have recently seen that the Celtics have moved very quickly and have acquired the rights to Jrue Holiday. What a quintet they have left. Now, they have lost essential pieces in the rotation, but we'll talk about that later. The thing is that all of this is probably the most important transfer in the NBA in a long time. I'll tell you that much. But has Milwaukee done the right thing by betting it all on Lillard? What can we expect from the Giannis-Lillard duo for this upcoming season? The numbers don't lie, and I brought them to you. On the face of it, it seems crazy, because beyond the fact that Lillard is much better than Holiday, Milwaukee was the top regular season team last season, a fact that confirms what a solid group Milwaukee has been for the past few years. The serious problem was the blowout they suffered later in the playoffs, being left out in the first round. Alarm bells went off in the Milwaukee offices because it was already 2 years in a row. With this narrative, they had their reference and star quite unhappy. And since his elimination, whenever he could, he was leaving statements in which he was clearly unhappy with the team and practically demanding the franchise a little effort to be able to compete for the ring every year. They managed to touch the sky very recently. Yes, they made history. But that's not good enough for Giannis, and he wants more. He wants to be able to compete for the ultimate every year. And after not being able to offer his best version in the playoffs for 2 years in a row, it was clear to him that he was not going to renew until there was a clear change in the team. As soon as they were eliminated, they made the decision to dispense with Budenholzer. But for Giannis, it wasn't enough. He wanted more effort, more change from management. But from the looks of things so far, nothing was happening. It was coming to nothing. In fact, the biggest fish on the market, Lillard, seemed to have it made with Mayan. Rumors made it clear that even Damian clearly said he would only go to Miami, that he wanted to leave the Blazers and only go to Miami. So you can imagine what a bombshell this move has been for the basketball world. Anyway, in all this, there has been a lot of intra-history, and I bring it to you so you don't miss a single detail. Despite what many said, Damian didn't mind starting the season in Portland, as long as his trade to Miami was worked out. But Portland GM Joe Cronin was not amused by this. He wanted to start training camp with everything settled. Which I understand on the other hand. But of course, when you as a player and star publicly declare that you only want to go to one team, in this case Miami, well, hell, you leave your franchise without negotiating power, which in this case was Portland. Portland was caught hand and foot, because every time they tried to negotiate and ask for more from Miami, they knew they had the upper hand, since the star had clearly shown his interest in going there. They felt very strong. That didn't sit well with Blazers management, and after many weeks, negotiations were going nowhere. Lillard, seeing that Miami wasn't going to budge, wanted to talk to Blazers management to call the whole thing off. If Miami didn't work out, he preferred to stay put. At that point, and according to this theory, it would be Joe Cronin who told him it was too late. There was no turning back. The situation had taken such an impact that the decision had already been made. There was no way Lillard was going to stay with the Blazers. At that point, Lillard's agent began looking for alternatives, so they contacted both Brooklyn and Milwaukee. They told them that if they were interested, Lillard would be happy to go there if Miami did not close. Another very important thing is the key role that Phoenix had in all this, because the Blazers had one thing very clear. Since they were losing their Belu Arte and their top star of the last years, they wanted young pieces and very good future projects. That is to say, they wanted Ayton, a player who was very devalued these last seasons and who was in a critical situation in his team. But really, in a pleasant environment and perhaps without that pressure, with patience, he can be a real project of a great player, very complementary to other young pieces that they already have in their team. In addition, the Suns have always been open to his departure, so everything seemed to fit. Still, a third team was needed, since Lillard wasn't going to Phoenix, not even in a hurry. It didn't make any sense. So, Milwaukee came in very strong, and in a little over a week, they ended up fitting all the pieces of the puzzle together. Beyond that, in my opinion, it's one of the few times I think it's a win-win in a move. Phoenix gains a lot of depth with players like Grayson Allen and Nurkic. Portland gets that young piece they wanted so badly. And it doesn't end there, because, as I said before, Portland gets that young piece they wanted so badly. And also, it has taken them little to nothing to get Holiday. For me, clearly overpaid by Celtics, who go blindly for the best quintet they can get, even if it means losing almost all the depth they had at their disposal. The team of the Leprechauns was characterized by being a very long team with many players willing to contribute on the court. So, the transfer has been Jrue Holiday to Celtics, and Portland gets Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, and 2 rounds of the draft. Given what I've seen, I don't trust them anymore. And I wouldn't be surprised that if they get a good offer for any of them, or even for both of them too, they will trade them, if that means that they will continue to benefit from Lillard's departure. In the end, we will have to see, but in the end, Jrue has not turned out so bad. He ends up in another contending team with his hopes sky high and with a lot of work ahead of him. At some point, I will make videos about these new Celtics. There is a lot to cut and a lot to comment, but today we are here for the bombshell of the summer. We are with Lillard and Milwaukee Bucks. It's time to talk about the key to everything, the fit between Giannis and Lillard, which of course is paramount to the success of this club. We have clearly seen in recent years, with examples such as Brooklyn, Sixers, Phoenix, Dallas, it is not enough to put 2 or 3 stars together and that's it. Basketball, fortunately, doesn't work that way. You have to put together many pieces in a big gear, in which everything rotates at the same speed and properly. Here we enter the key point of this movement. Notice, the game situation in which we see Giannis the most is in transition, while for Lillard the most common situation is the pick and roll. So far, so good. It makes sense. They are 2 styles of play that complement each other very well, because when you can run, Giannis will blow you away. And when you can't and the play doesn't come out, you always have the option of the pick and roll with Lillard, who can easily be the best in the league, or top 3 at that. On the other hand, we have the big key to the Bucks' success, the pick and roll. Lillard is very good at pick and roll, and Giannis is also very good when he is the one blocking. This may be the foundation of the game of these new Bucks, where the opposing team will have to decide between giving space to Lillard and pass behind the blocks, with the danger of him hitting threes, or defending Lillard and not shooting comfortably, which would mean neglecting the continuation of what is probably the best finisher in the league. It's really going to be tough to stop him, but this in the playoffs may not be so determinant, because it may turn out to be something very predictable at the end. Giannis can't do a pick and pop, in principle, that is, block and get open, he will shoot. So in a playoffs, it can be much easier to defend that 2-on-2, which in regular season, I'm sure it will be overwhelming. Here comes into play the other big key for these Bucks. When the defense focuses on defending Lillard, and with assists they close out to stop Giannis, what will be left free will be the wings, i.e. open shooters. Whether it's a pass from Lillard or Giannis, there are going to be a lot of situations where the key is going to be the open men. This is what the ability as a team to be unstoppable on offense will be based in large part on. In all of this, I am ignoring Middleton, who was also very important for the team, but coming from a season in which he has been very burdened by injuries and missing so many games, I feel he is somewhat inconsistent. But beware, that does not mean he can come back at full strength. And of course, he would be the 3rd great offensive asset of a scary Bucks. Anyway, we've seen it many times. Offense wins games in the regular season, but rarely wins championships. Very rarely. So, let's go with defense, because Bucks have bet everything on Lillard. They have lost the big defensive piece of the team, the warrior, the one who always wore down against opposing stars. An elite defender, and an indispensable player for the ring they won in 2001. Lillard comes from signing 126 in offensive rating but has 112 in defense. Holiday, for example, has a 108 in defensive rating in his NBA career. Furthermore, on shots where Holiday defends, his opponents have a 45% success rate. On the other hand, when it's Lillard defending, the success rate goes up. They have more than 50%. This can be a burden, and even more so in the playoffs, where they are going to look for him a lot more. And they are going to try to tire him out on defense so that he is not so good on offense. A basic one in the playoffs. Anyway, Lillard is Lillard. And even though he's obviously not a defensive specialist, if he really wants to go for the ring, he's going to have to tighten up his ass and defend like a dog in the important moments of the year. Because, for example, in three-point defense, the difference is brutal. Look closely. Jrue Holiday finished last season with a 36% in three-point shooting, but the shots he defended had only a 33% success rate. Pretty beastly stuff. For comparison's sake, Lillard has a 36% three-point shooting rate, a very good percentage, but he's scoring at 37%. That's a shocking statistic. I mean, I don't doubt that Milwaukee is going to do a great job during the season, and they will surely try to prevent Lillard from defending the best shooter in the game. But the other team also plays, and precisely based on blocking, they will try to stay with him one-on-one to take the embarrassments out of him. Anyway, don't get me wrong, I look very favorably on this move. Giannis and Lillard are two players, two styles of play that fit together perfectly on paper. One is a transition and penetration threat, and the other opens up space with outside shooting and a great ability to break down the defense. What do you think? Do you like these new Bucks? How far do you think they'll go next season? Tell me in the comments and give me your support to keep growing.